Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to cross the Øresund once again to Copenhagen in Denmark, and we're going to revisit one of my favourite Danish craft breweries, as well as one of my favourite craft breweries in general actually. And until a couple of videos back I hadn't reviewed anything from these guys in 2 years somehow. I wasn't sure how I managed it. This particular beer is a Christmas beer. But tomorrow I will be flying off on holiday, and it's the end of a working year for me, and it's one that I've always wanted to try from them actually. So I just kind of thought, bugger it, let's review it just now as my last beer before the holidays. So I really hope you guys enjoy my take on this one, and tomorrow you will see one of these channel message videos that I do every so often for the channel to let you know what's going on over the next couple of months. But for this one we are going to go to Total, and we're having a taste of the Jul Mælk. So this guy comes in at 15% ABV. It's an Imperial milk stout, and it is a bit of a monster. It's one of these Total beers that I've wanted to try for quite some time, but as a student it was always a little bit out of my price range. But I think I paid 120 Swedish crowns for this one through Glasbanken.se. So yeah, I paid Danish price for it, which is a little bit more expensive, but you know, it's one of these beers that I will drink once and I'm sure I'll enjoy it. So really looking forward to trying this one. And as always, I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one. I thought that I would wear my Scotland shirt since it matches the nice colour on the can here. So yeah, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Total before. No doubt I will add some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Danish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Total first off then, on to my brewery notes. So Total was founded by Tobias Emil Jensen and Tori Gainter, who were both students of Mikkel Bjergsø, the big boss of Mikkeller, when he was a physics and maths teacher. But originally they brewed with him in their school kitchens back in 2005, and they continued to homebrew up until 2010, when they officially founded Total as a company, which in Danish literally translates into English as two beers. So this is literally the two beer brewery. But when Mikkel heard that his former students were still brewing, he insisted that they did a collaboration brew, and this became the first commercial Total beer, and it was a double IPA. Despite their quite short existence in the grand scheme of brewing, they've gained much acclaim in craft beer circles, and they're now distributing to somewhere in the region of 40 different countries actually. But as is the case with Mikkeller, these guys are a gypsy brewery for the moment, so they don't have their own equipment. They use the spare capacity at other large breweries. In Nørrebro in Copenhagen they have the collaborative beer bar with Mikkeller, which is called the Mikkeller and Friends. This bar has an exclusive bottle shop, and it's got over 40 different tap beers as well. But they now also have the Bruce Bar in Copenhagen, where they brew some exclusive beers, and there's also now a second Bruce Bar in Oslo up in Norway as well. But they're co-owners in the different Mikkeller and Friends venues, and this now includes the bar in Reykjavik, and also the bottle shop in Torvehalen in Copenhagen as well, which is definitely worth checking out. You'll always find some really interesting food and stuff in there. But they also co-own the Kålship and the Micropolis bars in Copenhagen too. And apparently, from what I was reading, one of the things that's interesting about these guys is that they have that Bruce bar, and they wanted it to kind of evolve as its own company, if you like, but they are looking to open up a new brewery facility at the moment. They will brew the Bruce beers and sell them in bottles, of course, and the Total beers as well. So it might be that, again, these guys are going to move away from being gypsy brewers to having their own brewery. So some interesting times to come from Total over the next couple of months, so maybe I'll talk about that a little bit more in one of the next videos that I do from these guys. As I say, I hadn't reviewed anything from them in about 2 years when I reviewed the Dangerously Close to Stupid, and I couldn't believe it actually. I couldn't believe that it had been so long since I reviewed one of their beers, but I will make sure that doesn't happen again, because they're always putting out some really interesting stuff. But yeah, like I say, that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, of course, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on. And I would recommend that you go and check out Bruce if you're in Copenhagen as well. You get some really quite nice beers there. I've been there twice now. Now I think it is. So yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself then. So to tell you a little bit about the specs of this beer, this one is a 15% Imperial Stout. It's got a malt base of pale, special B, melanoid and chocolate smoked, dark crystal, and roasted barley malts, and it's also got some cassonade sugar and some lactose in there as well. And it's hopped with with Tettnanger hops from Germany, Tomahawk, which I believe is from America, and also some Soriachi Ace, which are grown in America these days, but were originally Japanese. Quite a popular hop to use in stouts these days, actually, to be honest. I'm not quite sure why, but it's a really lovely hop in IPAs and stuff like that too. But yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer then. We can get rid of the brewery notes for this one. But yeah, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting. There you can see on the back, there is the total symbol, and there is Jul Mælk on the front of it too. This is a 50 centilitre can, so it is a bit of a beast actually for a 15% Imperial Stout, a half litre of it. But it says, Christmas is here and Santa has brought some of his evil black Xmas milk. Watch out for this vicious elf spear, Nisseul, a 15% super tanker Imperial Milk Stout. So yeah, as I say, a bit of a beast this one. But you know, it's the holidays, it's the end of my working year. Let's just enjoy this one. And as I say, there will be some announcements tomorrow about what's kind of going on with the channel over the next little while. Some exciting things coming up for me personally, so I just wanted to kind of celebrate with a very nice beer. So yeah, as you can see, this one, it's poured a lovely dark ebony rosewood colour. I'll tell you something, when you open this beer up you get some really lovely sweet aromas coming out of it. But yeah, as you can see with this beer, it's poured a nice dark ebony rosewood colour. If I hold this one up to the light, you know, there's not much coming through that, to be honest. It's very, very dark. There's a finger and a half of a frothy, I would say, kind of medium tan head on this one. It's not the darkest tan that I've come across, but it's still a nice big frothy head on that one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of that head there, but you know, overall it does look very, very nice, and a big dark ebony rosewood colour, this one. You know, it looks absolutely lovely, I have to say. So yeah, nothing overly surprising about this one when you consider it's an Imperial Stout, but yeah, definitely one of the biggest, blackest beers that you are going to come across, I think. So let's take a closer look at that aroma then and just see how we get on. Ooh. Now, this is just crazily complex. I mean, straight away you're getting some nice, you can pick up a little bit of the roasted black malt in there, of course. You can get some of the subtle smoky hints out of this one. I'd be curious to know whether it's German smoked malt or a little bit of Scottish malt. I think it's more likely to be German smoked malt, to be honest with you. But yeah, the roasty black malts and the smokiness in this beer are kind of these kind of subtle complexities, which is nice. But yeah, some lovely chocolatey notes, a lot of brown sugar in here. It's got a whole mix of things. It's got that more syrupy treacle molasses kind of thing. It's got some of the sweeter caramel, but at the same time that caramel is quite toasted in that regard. This beer does have a very toasty, roasty kind of thing, and I mean, in some ways it is a little bit of a winter warmer, and it's just interesting how it's balanced. You've got these lovely big syrupy toasty brown sugars, but it's well balanced with the lactose. The lactose really sweetens the beer up a bit. The chocolate's in there. It does have a balance again between being a high percentage cocoa chocolate, you know, 80-90%, and also some of the more lighter milky chocolate qualities as well. So yeah, it's a really interesting aroma, this one. There is a little bit of a woody kind of complexity to it as well, a little touch of nuttiness as well. So there's a hell of a lot going on in this one. I mean, you could sit and smell this beer all day and pick up new things all the time, but it really is a nice big malty beast. There's a lot of complexity, as I say, roasty black malts, a little bit of smokiness just sitting in the background there. You can pick up the sweeter chocolate malts. The chocolatey quality, to be honest, the more I smell of it, it does come across as being a little bit more charred actually, like a kind of charred high cocoa chocolate. But as I say, the lactose gives you the impression of a little bit more of a kind of milky character as well. But yeah, some lovely syrupy brown sugars in this one. A little bit toasted, like I say, sweeter caramel, some nutty notes, little touch of woodiness in there as well. And yeah, it's a very interesting aroma on the malt base. This one, you can smell a little bit the sharpness. They've always found when they add the melanoidin malts to beers, it gives you this almost waxy quality to the mouthfeel. It almost just feels like you've got a wax on your tongue, and then some of the flavour just rolls right across it. It's really an interesting aspect to have on some of these beers, to be honest with you. So I'm curious to see how that comes out in the flavour. But this beer, of course, it is highly focused on the malt. You can pick up a little bit of earthiness from the hops, definitely some of the grassiness. I'm picking up the Tettnanger notes on this one. You've got a little bit of that German noble, earthy, grassy quality, which I really like. I mean, I kind of really got into beers when I was living in Germany, with the traditional German beers, and the noble hops are very, very nostalgic for me. But yeah, nice little bit of floral quality. I'm guessing that the other two hops, the Tomahawk and the Soriachi Ace, are contributing to that one. But there is a little citrusy note to this one, which I'm guessing will be the Soriachi Ace. You can pick up, there is just an element of a slightly sharper floral, grassy quality to this beer, which is really interesting. So yeah, as I always say, take a little bit of time and just enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it, because these beers can always throw up some really quite interesting things. So yeah, let's have a taste of this beer and just see where we go on. It's the day before my summer holidays, but I'm drinking the Christmas beer. I'm going to have a go at the Jul Mælk from Toil in Copenhagen in Denmark. One of my favourite Danish craft breweries, one of my favourite craft breweries in general. A 15% Imperial milk stout with a whole host of different malts and hops in it. So let's get stuck in. Slàinte, skål, happy summer. Cheers. Oh. That beer is absolutely ridiculous. Jeez. If you get the chance to try this, do it. I've had one little sip of it, and that beer is just it is just actually insane. That's a really, really crazy beer. It's got a good alcohol warmth to it, but there's such a depth of flavour to it. I don't think I've ever come across a stout that has such a depth of flavour to it. I mean, you get these legendary stouts like, you know, Marshal Zhukov from Cigar City over in America and things like that. You know, there's beers like that, but to me, this has to be one of the most complex and beastly stouts that I've come across. And you know, I've drunk a lot of the Omnipollo Imperial stouts and things like that, and those, you know, there's flavour essence and stuff added to those. Those are really good beers. This is purist brewing, this one. And you know, while adding the flavour essences to these beers is a bit of an art in itself and getting the balance there, if you can produce something like this straight up, you know, this is pretty special. I've taken one sip of it, but I've got a feeling this is going to be one of the best beers that I've reviewed on the channel. Yeah, that really is something special, that. Perfect beer to end my working year with, I have to say. If you get the chance to try this one, you probably won't until Christmas time, but if you get the chance to try this, you are certainly not going to regret it. This is just an absolute monster of an Imperial stout. If you like your sweet stouts, then you are really going to enjoy this one. And I'm noticing the melanoidin malts that I was talking about earlier as well. They are having that little effect on the palate that I was talking about. This is an awesome beer. This really is awesome. The question is, where to start with it? So yeah, with this beer then, it's very, very sweet. It's not overly sweet, but it's just really nice and really well balanced. There's a hell of a lot of complexity to this one. So the further that you'll go into the aftertaste with this, you can feel the roasty black malts just pushing their way out of this one. And the melanoidin malts, for me, they're adding a really interesting aspect to the beer. For me, the melanoidin malts, it's almost like that kind of cold feeling you get after you've brushed your teeth, when you sort of breathe in like that, and you've got the the toothpaste just on your palate there. Really, the melanoidin really gives the beer almost that kind of mint. It doesn't taste like mint, but it just gives you the freshness that you get from mints and things. I never chew chewing gum, but I'm guessing that it's something quite similar to that actually. But it really, it really just gives you, the melanoidin malts are giving the tongue just this almost fresh quality to it, and everything else is kind of coming on top of that. So it's almost like you just have this kind of fresh base on top of the roasted black malts, and then everything else kind of sits on top of it. It's a really interesting aspect to the beer, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's a special beer, it really is. That's one of the best beers that I've reviewed for you on the channel. This is top 2 or 3 beers on the channel. It's always, I never like kind of rating beers in that way, but this is definitely one of the best ones that I've reviewed. I'll remember this one for a hell of a long time actually. So yeah, on top of that kind of fresh base that I'm talking about, you do get the nice big chocolatey dark notes on this beer. It is a quite high percentage cocoa chocolate. You're talking about, I think, about 80% cocoa with this beer. In the centre of your palate you're getting these lovely brown sugary notes. It's definitely got a kind of treacly molasses kind of quality to it, as the Americans would call it, but definitely if you move further into the middle it's a bit sweeter and a bit more caramelly. And the cassinade sugar that they've added to this one, I've had 1 or 2 beers with that in it. It's actually quite a, is it right to describe it as quite a bright flavour? As you move out from the centre of your palate, you can really feel it's almost like a kind of rock. It reminds me of the rock candy, the rock sweets that I used to get given when we went on trips and places. Not like Edinburgh Rock that we have in Scotland, which is more like a taffy kind of thing from what the Americans say. It's more like those kind of rock candy things, and it's like a brown sugar rock candy. It really, you can feel that all across the middle of your palate there, which is interesting. The lactose, for me, you can pick it up, but it's almost more like a subtlety. In a lot of Imperial stouts, I've always found that the lactose kind of takes the lead and plays a big role in the beer. For me, the lactose is just kind of sitting in the background a bit. So it's it's quite interesting, that, to be honest with you. I've never come across a stout that does things in quite the same way that this one does. Yeah. So I mean, you will detect that sort of lactosey note in it, but the sweetness of this beer generally is kind of it is almost subduing the sort of flavours that you get from the lactose. As I say, the chocolate for me is quite dark. You can pick up a little bit of a more milky chocolate towards the front of the palate, but really the brown sugars, the cassinade sugar and the caramalts and things like that are in here. I think it was crystal malt that was in here too. The brown sugars are really pushing that away a little bit. There is a little touch of a woody note. If you just go in from the sides of the palate, you can pick up, there is a little touch of a woody note to this one. But it's really just interesting. The melanoidin malts, I think, are playing a big role in this beer. And if you just go to the very centre of your palate and come forward, you get that big brown sugary note, and then as you come further forward you get the nutty qualities to the beer as well, which is really interesting. It's a huge, big, sweet flavour, this one. I mean, it's an Imperial milk stout, but to me, the milky side of the beer doesn't come out too much. I'd describe it as more of a sweet stout than a milk stout, to be honest. But again, it's debatable about whether those terms are kind of interchangeable. We can debate about the styles of beer all day, but the main point should be that this is a bloody good beer. It really is quite nice. I'm going to share this after this, of course, but to sell this in 50 centilitre cans is a bit bold actually. And normally I think you get it in either 750s or 660 bottles, so this is definitely one that you are going to share rather than drinking all yourself. The sweetness of this beer is that big that it could get a little bit much for you to enjoy it on your own, but it really is just a beautiful stout, this one. This is the best Toyo beer I've had, and that's a difficult thing to say. I mean, I've had some really good beers from these guys, Dangerously Close to Stupid, that's an awesome West Coast double IPA. The black malts and body salts, that's, you know, one of the best black IPAs I've ever reviewed. And then this one's definitely one of the best Imperial Stouts. And this is why I always say, you know, Toil are one of my favourite breweries. These guys, they're not as well known as Mikkeller, for example, but I think the beers that they produce are just that little bit better than Mikkeller's. But, you know, it's a controversial statement to make. I shouldn't really say that. But yeah, it's beautiful, this beer, and it's all about the malt base. I mean, for me, the hoppy side of this beer is quite simple. Yeah. I mean, back corners of the palate, a little bit of an earthiness in there. It does have a little bit of darkness to it, the earthy side of this beer. But I think the Tettnanger hops that are in here are sort of smoothing it out a little bit, because as you come further forward you do feel a little bit more of that German noble hoppiness there. But as you come further forward, the beer does have a little bit of a floral quality to it. You can feel it. Actually, the floral quality in this beer interacts well with that sort of fresh melanoidin quality that the beer has. You can feel that on the front corners of your palate too. Then round the very front curve of the tongue, the beer is just a little bit lighter and grassy, and behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get these really nice, the really nice oily bubble, where all the juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And this one's really interesting, actually. Again, this is where this beer is really different from others. Yeah, where to start with this? I mean, it's the fruity side of this beer. It does have an element of cakiness to it, like a boozy fruit cake or something. And also like a boozy chocolate fudge cake, something like that. You know, there's a lot of juicy kind of blackberries, black currants, red berries and things like that. And it's got that figgy raisiny quality to it as well. There's a whole host of red fruits in there. It almost comes across as quite candied in a lot of ways too. So yeah, it's really just interesting how this whole flavour pieces together. The fruity notes in this one are very, very unique as well. I'd say blackberries, black currants, definitely a little touch of a red berry and blueberry kind of note in there as well. The fruity notes are very difficult to pick out because the whole beer is pretty damn sweet. I have to admit, I can feel the alcohol going to my head a little bit now, but at 15%, you know, that's a little bit of a given. It is a monster of a beer, this, and it covers its alcohol very well. You do get a little bit of warmth down here, and that's to be expected when it's 15%, but let's just say this beer is a bit of a beast. But you know that when you drink this, it's going to be a bit of a monster. But it just works out beautifully, this beer. Again, as I say, this is one of the best beers I've reviewed on the channel, and it's quite easily fitting into that bracket, I have to say. I think this is probably the best beer I've reviewed from Toil as well. And like I say, that's not a statement that I take lightly because of the quality of the other beers that I've had from these guys. So yeah, if you get the chance to try this one, have a go at it. It's a lovely big sweet Imperial Stout, this one, but definitely share it with friends. This is if you're going to drink a half litre of this by yourself, that is quite the challenge, I have to say. So yeah, if you like your big sweet stouts, you're going to enjoy this one. Lots of brown sugars, particularly to me it leans a lot towards that brown sugary and fruity side of things, so if that sounds like it will tick the boxes for you, it most definitely will. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say full bodied. Carbonation is very smooth, and this one's a big oily mouthfeel. There is an element of creaminess in there, but to me it's more of an oily mouthfeel rather than anything else, mainly because of the brown sugar notes in the beer. Nice little bit of hoppy bitterness. If you're talking about IBUs, I think you're going to get about 40, maybe 50 IBUs out of this one from the roasted black malts and from the hoppy side of things. The malt base, like I say, it has that almost fresh quality to it because of the melanoidin that they've put in here. I remember Magic Rock used to do that with, I'm sure it was melanoidin malts that they used to put in their IPAs, and it just gave you this fresh quality to them. But Toil have used that quite interestingly in this stout, and it really does work. First time I've come across that. So you have got this fresh quality to your malt base, but overall the malty side of this beer is incredibly sweet, but there is a little element of roastiness there as well, and you've also got some lovely juicy fruity qualities. For me, the fruity note is quite oily, but it really works with the rest of the flavour. But you know, this is just a beautiful beer. I can only say if you get the chance to try this, have a go at it for yourself, and you most certainly will not be disappointed. This is the best Toil beer that I have reviewed, and one of the best beers that I've reviewed on the channel as well, so it really is a kind of fitting way for me to sign off before we go on holiday, and you will see some more reviews while I'm on holiday as well. But yeah, if you get the chance to try this, just try it for yourself. You won't get this one until December, no, probably about October, November, something like that, but you won't find this one until about Christmas time. But it is a little bit pricey, but definitely buy it up, you will certainly not regret it. So let's leave it at that for this one. This one is the Jul Mælk, an Imperial milk stout. I'd more describe it as an Imperial sweet stout rather than anything else, at 15% ABV from Toil in Copenhagen in Denmark. The best beer I've reviewed from these guys, and I don't take that lightly. It's just a beautiful, beautiful Imperial stout this, so try it for yourself and see what you think. So let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Toil as well, and we will most definitely return to these guys in the near future. But this is a beer that you most certainly need to try for yourself. Until the next time, it's Slange just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Make sure you check out my social media, and make sure you check out the Jul Mælk from Toil in Copenhagen in Denmark. Slange, skål.